women be like, oh, he DL, oh, he DL, whole time it's just a man that's bisexual.
I don't like how y'all judge bisexual men on this app. I don't like that. Especially all these women that take half a shot, a sip of some liquor, and all of a sudden you gay.
Bisexual men are judged a lot more than a gay man or bisexual woman or a gay woman. You get what I'm saying? I've heard that from women that, oh, I could never, a bisexual man. Oh,
I agree.
So they
like
won't come out.
Right.
Unless he's fully gay.
Right.
He's not coming out.
Yeah, I want to hear some crazy. A lot of us black gay men aren't even gay. It's just in the black community, they make you feel like, okay, you're either gay or straight. Boys can't be bisexual.
A conversation that I don't think a lot of people are ready to have is that a lot of black men are bisexual. Now follow me. There wouldn't be as many DL as y'all love to talk about all day if y'all were more accepting of bisexuality. Because most of them aren't gay. They just bi. Yes, they like to be with you, but they like to be with him too. No shade. And yes, there's, talk from both sides, men and women. However, if it was more accepted, there wouldn't be any DL. They would be open to letting you know that they dabble. But you guys aren't accepting. That's the issue. So there's going to continue to be DL men as long as you're unaccepting of bisexuality.
Black men are usually expected to be one thing: masculine, straight, and emotionally closed off. So when a black man is bisexual, people often act like it doesn't make sense, or he has to choose between being straight or gay. A lot of bisexual black men stay closeted because they already know how people will judge them. Some people assume they are secretly gay, some see them as less masculine. Some women may avoid dating bisexual men simply because of stereotypes and misinformation. That kind of judgment can make people hide parts of themselves just to avoid being rejected or treated differently. And over time, hearing those opinions constantly can turn into internalized biphobia and homophobia. Some men start feeling like they have to suppress who they are in order to fit in or be accepted. The issue isn't that bisexual black men exist. The issue is that society often refuses to let black men exist outside of strict ideas about masculinity and sexuality. Nobody should feel forced to hide who they are just to make other people feel comfortable. But let's unpack this and talk more about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your boy Dante, and I'm back again with another video. I know my last video I told y'all I was gonna be more consistent and be posting more, but unfortunately a lot of stuff has been taking place this past month, so I do apologize. However, I am in a better place mentally, and I'm back into like the mode of recording again, so I guess that's a good thing, right? Now I do want to take this time out to thank y'all for 55,000 subscribers. I can't thank y'all enough. Now, if you're somebody that's been watching me, or you're like a casual viewer and you really enjoy my takes, you really enjoy my commentary, but you just haven't subscribed yet, I really appreciate that if you would do that, okay? Now, as you guys can see with the title, we're talking about black men and bisexuality. Now, after watching my content, because this is not my first or second time talking about this, yes, I spoke on it. Yes, y'all love my takes, but I don't think I've ever touched on it from like a black male's perspective, right? Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people coming out and having these conversations, so I feel like, this is the perfect time, and let alone with everything that's going viral recently with the rappers and their sexuality, this is a great video to come back out on and talk about. The 5 major topics that we're going to cover throughout this entire video is the double standard, internalized biphobia, sexual fluidity, bisexual erasure, and homophobia. Now, unfortunately, in the black community, there's no such thing as bisexual. Like, bisexual men do not exist. You got to pick a side. You either going to be gay or you're gonna be straight. And this what leads to a lot of black men never coming out and living in their truth, because the backlash and the hate that they get from their own people. And the patriarchy plays a huge role as to why black bisexual men receive so much backlash for their sexuality, because not only are they attacked by their sexuality, their masculinity is questioned, and I feel like they deal with social expectations. The history of black male bisexuality is often ignored, even though black bisexual men have always existed across cultures and time periods. Today, many people still believe men can only be either straight or gay, but those ideas are largely rooted in colonialism, religion, and modern ideas about masculinity, not human history within itself. Before European colonization, several African societies had more fluid understandings of sexuality and gender. Historical studies documented same-sex relationships and non-traditional gender roles in parts of West, Central, and East Africa long before colonial rule. Books like Boy Wives and Female Husbands explore these histories. However, in the late 1800s, European powers introduced anti-LGBTQ laws and Christian moral codes across Africa and the Caribbean. Many anti-gay laws that still exist today were originally created under British colonial rule. The history of slavery in America also shaped black masculinity. During the 1600s and 1800s, black men were stereotyped by white society as hypersexual, dangerous, and less masculine than white men. Because of this, many black communities later embraced strict ideas of masculinity centered around toughness, heterosexuality, and emotional control as a form of survival. Anything associated with femininity or queerness became heavily stigmatized. The black church played a major role as well. While churches were central to black resistance and community building throughout the 20th century, they also reinforced conservative beliefs about sexuality. This created environments where many black bisexual men felt forced to hide their identities to avoid rejection from family, religion, and society. In the 1920s and 30s, during the Harlem Renaissance, black artists and musicians created spaces where sexuality could be explored more freely, even if done quietly. Harlem nightlife became a world where gender and attraction could bend outside of the rules society imposed. Writers like Langston Hughes and Countee Cullen became central figures in black art and literature, while performers like Gladys Bentley openly challenged ideas about gender and sexuality on stage. Long before mainstream America had language for bisexuality or sexual fluidity, black people were already living it. As the civil rights movement grew in the 1950s and 60s, pressure on black men intensified. Black masculinity became political. A black man had to appear disciplined, masculine, and respectable at all times because the stakes were life and death.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
What is freedom?
Freedom is black power.
What is black power?
Black power is...
Do you know what black power is?
No.
Well, then you should never make any statements if you don't know what they mean.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
All right. How old are you, young man?
I am 4 years old.
You're not 4 yet. Now you tell me your right age. How old are you? How old are you?
I am 4 years old.
Are you sure you're 4?
Yes.
You're going to let me turn you around and tell you you're some other age? You're 6 years old, Eric.
No.
I can't hear you, Eric.
No.
Are you being frightened by me?
No.
I'm a teacher. I said you're 6.
I am 4 years old.
All right, then. You stand up for it, then. You shouldn't be weak. You stand up and say it. You ought to scream it in my face if I try to tell you different, right?
Yes.
Have a seat.
In that environment, queerness and bisexuality were often pushed even further underground. One of the few major voices brave enough to confront this openly was James Baldwin. James Baldwin wrote honestly about loneliness, love, masculinity, and the desire in ways that made many people feel uncomfortable. Then came the 1970s and 80s, an era obsessed with hypermasculinity. Black culture celebrated toughness through comedy, sports, film, and music. But behind that image were men carrying secrets, contradictions, and private realities. For an example was Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was seen as one of the rawest, toughest comedians alive. A man whose comedy felt brutally honest. That's why so many people were shocked when he later admitted to having intimate experiences with men.
No, never. No, I like to say this on film because to all American male persons, never because they will lie. They always say, I want cow. They lie. They can't wait till you finish talking to them. Well, guess who was here, honey? Girl, look here. Well, you got more in him than me. Don't ever give a head because you really be low down there, right? Yeah, act like you ain't never sucked a dick or something. You know what I mean? No, sorry, Bob. We've never ever touched a penis in our lives. We're real men. I sucked a dick. You can get a habit from sucking a dick. You know, become a junkie. You can only do it maybe 3 times. You do it more than that, you get a habit. You mean, I gotta have.
He spoke about these encounters casually too, but beneath the humor was something deeper. Richard Pryor shattered the illusion that black masculinity and same-sex intimacy could not coexist. He was still Richard Pryor, still brilliant, still masculine, still iconic. His honesty exposed how complicated sexuality really is, especially for black men raised in environments where vulnerability itself was dangerous. By the 1980s and 90s, black queer writers and artists like James Baldwin and Essence Hip Hill began speaking more openly about black sexuality and masculinity. However, bisexual men remain largely invisible because, unfortunately, society still viewed male sexuality as strictly gay or straight. That stigma intensified in the early 2000s during the media panic around the term down low, a term used for men, often black men, who secretly had relationships with other men while publicly identifying as straight. Talk shows and news outlets portray black bisexual men as deceptive and dangerous, especially during conversations about HIV and AIDS. In reality, studies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention later showed that bisexual men existed across all races and that media coverage disproportionately targeted black men. The stats also show how bisexual men experience unique struggles. According to the surveys from the Pew Research Center, bisexual people make more than half of the LGBTQ plus community, population in America. Yet bisexual men are among the least likely to openly discuss their sexuality. Research from the Human Rights Campaign also found that bisexual individuals report higher rates of anxiety, depression, and isolation due to the rejection from both straight and the queer community. In recent years, representation has slowly improved through films like Moonlight and artists like Frank Ocean, Isaiah Rashad, Taylor Bennett, and many more who help create more space for conversations about Black masculinity and fluid sexuality. But still, Black bisexual men continue to face pressure to pick a side, and a society uncomfortable with complexity. That is the historical context. It was very lengthy, but I feel like it really gave a great insight on a Black man's sexuality, let alone a Black man being bisexual. I want to take the time out to transition this conversation to the most recent incidents that went viral pertaining to a Black man and his sexuality, and these Black men happens to be in the spotlight, right? So the first person we're going to cover is Isaiah Rashad. Now, Isaiah Rashad, who is an American rapper / singer who debuted in the early 2010s, known for his hits like What's Wrong featuring Zakari and Kendrick Lamar, West Savannah featuring SZA, Headshots, and so much more. In 2022, an explicit video of him was leaked non-consensually of him being intimate with other men. He slightly addressed it that same year in an interview with fellow rapper Joe Budden.
So I have to ask you, you said your family knew, your grandparents knew, your girl knew. But for the people who didn't know, how do you identify today?
I'd say, like, I'm sexually fluid. Like,
What does that mean?
I'm still learning about it myself. I'm getting put my heads in the books to find out the basics of it. But basically, like, I'm not in full control of when I walk into a room who I'm attracted to. Okay. And just because I grew up in high school, I dated this type of person. In college, I dated this type of person. Doesn't necessarily mean as an adult that it's gonna always be like specific. But I'm more so attracted to like a personality. I'm attracted sometimes to the intellect, and sometimes just being attracted to somebody.
So you're not monogamous?
Definitely right now.
So you are monogamous?
Yeah, at the moment.
In 2026, he decided to go more in depth with the incident while promoting his latest album called It's Been Awful. He mentioned how there is no manual to being bisexual as a Black man.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in time, I accepted that they don't make a manual for being like a bisexual Black dude, or any of that type of shit. They don't have a,
Yeah.
And it was less like hiding myself from anything, but more so like not knowing how to not be ostracized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
also, you got to control your hoes, regardless if they're men or women, because who the hell was recording you?
I mean, if you listen to the album, I go into a great amount of detail about where I was at and the influences I was under.
Yeah, you said you was on
a lot of shit.
Okay.
I was on everything under the sun. But that's no excuse for the behavior. And that's what the main thing for me was like, I'm responsible for myself, responsible for my family, and all that type of shit.
I appreciate him being honest. I watched the entire interview and I thought it was very beautiful. I'm not a fan of him, but watching the interview made me a fan of him. He also was open about his drug addiction. And I wanted to read this comment from a woman, this lady by the name of Naya Smith. She said, I dated a guy I didn't know was bi. He had horrible addictions and deep rage. I think when you're hiding who you are, it becomes unbearable and people just look for ways to cope with the pressure. And I agree. Speaking from somebody that used to deal with men that were on a down low and just struggling with their sexuality, a lot of them do resort to drugs or just drinking because it kind of takes them out of their misery. It takes them out of reality because a lot of men really do struggle with it. Now, the next person we're going to talk about is Boston Richey. Now, if you don't know who Boston Richey is, he's an American trap rapper who debuted in the early 2020s, rising to prominence with hits like Keep Dissing and Bullseye 2. May 1st of 2026, he released a song called BYW, which resorted to his ex-girlfriend Tatiana Chanel, exposing all of their dirty laundry. Now, if you don't know who Tatiana is, she's a social media personality and known for her fashion and modeling. Allegedly, Boston Richey began dating Tatiana when she was only 17 years old, and him being 26 years old at that time. She exposed him of being physically abusive, sleeping with underage girls allegedly, but the thing that received a lot of attention was her exposing how she would penetrate him to sexually please him. Now, in the Black communities, unfortunately, they don't care about adultery, they don't care about none of that stuff until a man is gay. This man has been accused of more horrific stuff than homosexuality, but it's like as soon as y'all hear gay or something that could be gay, that's when y'all want to react to it.
It's gay if a man likes to be by a woman. It's gay. I don't give a what you say. It's gay. Even if you want your ass licked by your woman and you a man, it's gay. Woman and you a man, it's gay. You shouldn't want your touched. It's gay. Yeah, it's gay. Gay, 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 gay.
I was talking to a couple of my friends, and everybody is Black, of course, and they really irritated me last week when we was talking about this because everybody, when I asked them, do they feel like he's gay for liking to be penetrated by his girlfriend? And they pissed me off because everybody said yes. And I'm like, can y'all please explain to me why do you feel like he is gay? Because me personally, I feel like a man that is gay is somebody who's physically and emotionally attracted to a man. I think that's what makes a person gay. I think a man that's straight is somebody who's physically and emotionally attracted to a woman. With him though, I think being that he enjoys his woman penetrating him or whatever the case may be, I don't think that he's a straight man, but I don't think he's gay either, y'all. He could be pan, he could be bi or something, but I don't think he's gay. I don't think he's gay because if he can physically get himself aroused and penetrate a woman, that man is not gay. Everybody was just like, no, I quell. Once you taking it, one of my friends was like, it's one thing if you penetrate a man, but if you let another man penetrate you, you just gay. And it's just like, girl, that's unfair. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Do y'all feel like he's gay for wanting to get penetrated by his woman? I don't think he's gay. I think he could be bi or pan, but not gay or straight. Now, I do want to take this last segment to react to TikTok that I felt very interesting pertaining to bisexuality. So let's get into it.
Bisexual men are judged a lot more than a gay man or bisexual woman or a gay woman. You get what I'm saying? I've heard that from women that, oh, I could never, a bisexual man. Oh,
I agree.
So they
like
won't come out.
Right.
Unless he's fully gay.
Right.
He's not coming out.
Well, a lot of people actually say that bisexual men are.
I get what he's trying to say, but me personally, I don't think that a bisexual man is judged more than anybody in the queer community. You can be gay, you can be bi, you can be lesbian, you can be trans. I personally don't think none of us are judged more than the other. I think if anything, we're all judged differently. If I could use an example, he probably would feel like they're judged more because the majority of women, when they speak on why they wouldn't date a bisexual man or why they wouldn't be intimate with one, most of their reasons are rooted in stereotypes.
Are actually gay. They won't even allow them to be able to say I'm
bisexual.
Both. I like both.
Right, that's
if
true.
You
that
like,
is true.
Right?
That is true.
You're gay.
That is very true.
So it's tough for men.
Tough.
It's tough for men.
That's tough.
But the style, at least they always got money in their pockets. So
how do you know all these things?
I have worked in the atrium. I've worked in the village. Never seen a.
Okay, they kind of got carried away towards the end. But do y'all feel like bisexual men are more judged? Me personally, I don't think so. I think everybody is just judged differently, if anything. But let's go on with the next video.
A bisexual man just posted on his TikTok of a meme that said something like, "Me after I lose fine shit after telling her I'm bisexual." And the first comment under that video is of a girl saying, "Well, I agree with her because I just can't imagine my man taking it." Now, there's a lot to unpack there. I have to whack the fact that a lot of y'all who agree with a statement like this will quite literally shack up with the biggest loser on the planet, a man without a job because he doesn't want to work, or a man without a car because he chooses to not have a car, a man with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids with 300 different women. I'm exaggerating. Like, y'all pick the worst men on the planet just so you can say you have a man, and you will quite literally go out with a man that hates women. But the bridge y'all will never, ever cross is a man being bisexual, because you just can't imagine a man taking it. I'm sorry, but that is such an odd thing to say. Just because somebody's bisexual does not mean they hooked up with a man or is taking it from a man. I just feel like a lot of y'all that say this are slow. Can I be honest? I think you guys are slow. I think a lot of y'all suffer from the same mental illness that racist people suffer from, because y'all just borrow some of the talking points. Like, there's a lot of y'all calling this a preference. Oh, it's just my preference. It's just my preference.
I'm so glad that he mentioned preference, because I feel like it's a big difference with a preference and biases. I feel like when women come out and express their reasons, like we just talked about in the last video, like a lot of their reasons are rooted in stereotypes. Now, what do I mean by this, right? Now, with the preference, nobody is owed attraction. Nobody is owed a relationship, right? So if a person don't want to date you, they just simply don't want to date you. It's their choice. But when I feel like the biases or the quote unquote biphobia comes into play, your reason is ignorant or it's just stereotypical. So a woman can be like, oh, well, I can't date one because I can't imagine my man being bigged over or doing the bending.
But I'm sorry, like, y'all don't know the difference between a preference and a bias. You were not born not liking bisexual men. That's insane. It's a bias that you developed that's probably 100% rooted in homophobia. That's not a preference. That's not a preference. That's not a preference. I'm sorry.
I want to ask you, what's something that is fine when a girl does it, but an ick when a guy does it?
It's always okay for a girl to, like, kind of be bi, but if a man does it,
it's like, how, why so?
Well, I feel like double standards exist for all of us, right? But women have an ability to have more freedom with to explore their sexuality, I believe.
I mean, technically, they're not wrong. I believe that the reason why women are able to more freely explore their bisexuality is due to the fact that we live in a patriarchal society, which has historically over-sexualized lesbian interactions in film and in real life.
I literally just mentioned this earlier to y'all about the patriarchy. The patriarchy plays a major role as to why there's so much backlash with bisexual men and the double standard as well. In society, there's the double standard with a lot of stuff. There's certain things that men get praised for doing that a woman will get a lot of backlash for. And there's a lot of things that women can do that get praised, but when a man do it, it's not always acceptable.
And you want to know the demographic of people who are the largest consumers of lesbian men. Now, on the flip side, sexual interaction between two men is heavily policed, stigmatized, and seen as taboo globally, also due to the patriarchy and this idea that if you're a man who engages with another man, you're less masculine or less of a man. Where y'all lose me is this one-sided bi-erasure argument that I've been seeing in the comment section of this video. Surprisingly, a bunch of women are commenting saying, men can't be bi, or if your man is bi, he's really gay. I'm gonna offer some pushback. Bisexuality in men 100% exists, and I would even argue that it's more prevalent than a lot of you guys want to believe that it is. A lot of men just won't admit it. If a man is able to get it up and engage with a woman and also do the same thing with a man, that's bisexuality, love. Y'all can't bop it, twist it, spin it any other way. And it's no shade. A lot of this rhetoric is the reason why DL men run rampant in society. And this is not me like taking up for them or protecting them. I think for the most part, a lot of them are liars and they contribute to the violence and the harm that cis and trans women and openly gay men experience in society. I'm actually a big advocate for all of the girly pops to stay far the fuck away from these men, if possible, because being a DL man is a very vulnerable position to be in, and typically when men are in vulnerable positions, they respond with aggression and violence when triggered. But we have to recognize that two things can be true at once. Bisexual DL men are DL, one, for the validation of other men, and to appease like this hierarchical sexuality structure that they weaponize against each other. But also, a lot of these men are narcissists and they want to have their cake and eat it too. No DL man is going to openly profess the fact that he engages with other men if he knows that it's going to cut off his chances with like 95% of the female population, right? Hence the reason why we have a bunch of men who are married, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, and a dog, but meeting up with Antoine at the local Red Roof bi-weekly on a Friday. And I would agree that that's a very selfish and deceitful way to live your life. I think that they should be honest and upfront regardless of the social consequences. But babes, that's not the reality that we live in. And we don't make honesty any more accessible by getting up online and adding to the social stigma. So just food for thought. I'm not coddling these grown-ass men, and I'm definitely not telling y'all that y'all have to date them. I advocate for the destigmatization of same-sex male attraction so that we can all be sexually liberated, period.
But to my fellow bisexual black men that are watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you took a lot from this. And I just want to say I love y'all. Keep being you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.